You are not stuck because of your circumstances. You are stuck because of your patterns. And until you study them, you keep calling them your destiny. Hello everyone, my name is Himanshi. I am a psychologist and a life coach. Today I want to talk to you about something that changed my entire life. And I believe it can change yours too. It's about studying your patterns. Now let me take you back a few years. I used to wonder, why do I always start something with full energy but never finish it? Why do I feel so low after a small rejection? Why do I keep finding myself in situations where I feel not enough again and again? I used to think I had bad luck, that maybe I was not made for success. But the truth was, I was repeating patterns unconsciously, and I wasn't even aware of those. I wasn't living intentionally. I was living on autopilot, driven by old emotional habits, unhealed beliefs, and restrictions that I had normalized for myself. Until one day, I paused. Now let's first understand, what do we mean by the word pattern? Patterns are your repeated emotional, mental, and behavioral responses to life. They are the way you deal with failure, the way you respond to stress, the kind of people you attract in your life, and the way you sabotage your own growth. Most of these were formed long ago by experiences, by trauma, by conditioning that was imposed on you by different sorts of people around you. But the problem is, we start calling them our personality. We internalize that. For example, I am not disciplined. I always mess things up. I am not consistent. I get bored easily. Right? These become your personality. It's a tag that you give to your own self, that this is the way I am. Right? But it's not like that. It's just that you've learned those patterns for yourself from your surroundings. And what is learned can be unlearned as well. And that is where you feel that it can be unlearned and you can be a better person. You have the power to break those patterns. Now you might be thinking, how did I study my patterns? I started asking myself some real questions which were also challenging. I asked myself, why do I feel triggered when someone does not reply? Right? Because that was the situation I was in at a particular moment in my life. So there are different questions you can ask based on what you are going through currently in your life. I'm just giving you some examples of those. Why do I keep procrastinating when I know that I want a certain thing? Why do I fear consistency? Why do I fear moving forward? Right? Why am I coming in my own way of success? Because in my journey, I noticed that I was the only person who was not letting myself move forward in life. There was no external blockages in my journey. I was the one who could not take a decision, who could not raise my standards. Yeah? So you can replace the words here and there, but you can question yourself in a way which helps you in a particular situation. And then I started noticing that every time I felt discomfort, I had this habit of escaping. Now, there are two ways the way you respond to the stressors. Either it's a fight or it's a flight. I used to flight, I used to fly away, I used to just escape, right? Now, escapism is different for different people. For me, it was scrolling, it was eating junk, or just eating, binge eating, it was sleeping, it was distracting myself. That was a pattern of avoidance. I was trying to avoid certain emotions, right? I was trying to avoid certain situations. It was my nervous system avoiding discomfort basically, and I labeled it as laziness. I also noticed that I kept making big promises to my own self. But deep inside, I did not believe that I was really capable of holding success. That was a pattern of self doubt. And I had to break it, not with motivation, but yes, with awareness. Now, let me give you a metaphor from nature that helped me see this differently. In nature, a snake sheds its skin when it has outgrown it. It does not hate the old skin, it does not judge itself for once needing it, but when it becomes too tight, too restrictive, the snake lets it go. Because if it holds on to the old skin, it cannot grow, it cannot breathe freely. It literally starts suffocating in what once protected it. Your patterns work in the same way. At one point, they were protecting you from something, right? It could be avoiding, it could be pleasing, it could be overthinking, it could be escaping. These were survival mechanisms. But now, they are too tight, they are suffocating you, and they are too small for who you are becoming, for who you want to become. And if you don't let them go, you would not be able to grow into the next version of you. Now, let me pass this awareness to you. Here are a few powerful prompts, some questions for you to reflect on. Take a moment and reflect as I ask them. If you want to take some time and introspect and then work on those questions, take a paper and pen, sit down and make a note of these questions. So the first question is, what situations do you find yourself stuck in again and again? Second, what emotional reactions do you default to? For example, is it anger, guilt, avoidance? Anything. Third, what do you tell yourself right before you give up? Fourth, what is the pattern in your relationships? Do you overgive? Do you shut down? Or do you chase validation? And the last question, what story are you repeating to yourself that is keeping you safe but small? Now sit with these questions for a while. Your answers will start pointing you to your patterns, and your patterns will point you to the way you have to heal. Once I saw my patterns clearly, I realized this is not who I am. This is who I have been trained to be by my life. And that gave me power to pause, to respond, and not to react. To show up even when I did not feel ready. To stop abandoning myself every time things got hard. That is when I began building discipline, self-trust, and emotional resilience. Not overnight, but brick by brick. And I'm telling you, if I can do this, you can do it too. So if you are watching this, this is your sign. Start studying your patterns. Don't just try to become better, become aware. Because once you know what is holding you back, you no longer have to be a prisoner of it. You're not lazy, you're not weak, you're just stuck in patterns you have not decoded yet. But the moment you start seeing them, you start freeing yourself. So, study your patterns because they're either your prison or your path to freedom. If this hit home, share it with someone you love who might find it helpful, and don't forget to stay connected with me, subscribe this channel because we are building a tribe of awakened, courageous humans here. Let's grow together. See you in the next one.